through this presentation, we're going to cover the significance and value of employee handbooks. As I said, your must have policies, optional policies, policies that are risky, other drafting considerations and pitfalls. And throughout, we're going to talk about some hot topics in employment law as well. And hopefully, at the end, you'll walk away with an understanding of the core elements that your handbook should have, some policies that you may want to consider, and then of course policies to avoid. It's very overwhelming to put a handbook together especially when you maybe don't have an understanding of the federal, state, and local laws behind these policies, or which policies are really essential for your particular type of workforce. And we hope that this presentation can give you some best practices and thoughts about how to structure your handbook. Some hot topics that we're going to cover today include paid sick leave and COVID-19 requirements. I'm sure anybody who's listening to this is probably, sick of hearing about COVID-19 requirements at this point. Obviously, we've all been living through, the past year and a half being just turning all of our regular practices and procedures on their face and just dealing with a whole new work reality and now the new normal post COVID. But there's still, a lot of considerations to take into account as policies and regulations continue to be updated around the country from, a federal, state, and a local level. We're also, on a related note, going to touch on remote work and reasonable accommodations, which have been coming up a lot. Obviously, now there's a different work structure for a lot of individuals, especially in light of COVID. And we're going to touch on medical and adult use cannabis legalization. More and more states are starting to legalize marijuana, not only for medicinal, but for recreational use. And what does that mean for your workforce and your drug-free workplace policies? Okay, so why have a handbook? What is the significance and value of having a handbook? Well, there's a lot of reasons to have a handbook. It welcomes your employees. It's something to go over during their training and onboarding to show, hey, these are our policies, these are our expectations, these are our standards that you can expect when you work here. It should include or can include a statement about your values and your culture. Importantly, it's a centralized place for information. So when an employee has a question about their vacation, a question about call-out procedures, a question about leaves and benefits, the handbook should be one of their first resources that they have available as a go-to for any questions or concerns that they have regarding their work environment and regarding your policies. Of course, the handbook is also going to include prohibited conduct, or, your discipline policies about what can happen if one of your practices or if one of your guidelines is violated. And equally important, handbooks are a tool to ensure and demonstrate compliance with federal, state, and local laws. So it's becoming more and more common that our employment laws put this burden on employers, that employers have to demonstrate not only that they're following the law, but that they're telling employees what the law is, what the standards are, and what they're entitled to. And so instead of having all these piecemeal policies just floating around, the handbook is that centralized place where you're going to keep that really important data that you're going to update as the law becomes updated. And having the handbook and having it be updated shows, to a court or to a jury or to an agency, if there's a claim or a complaint, that you're aware of the law, that you understand how important it is, that you intend to comply with the law. And that's really critical if an issue does come up, because a lot of times, for example, if there's some sort of harassment claim or something like that, one of the primary questions is, okay, what does your complaint reporting procedure look like, right? And well, where is that going to be housed? It's going to be housed in your employee handbook. And what if you don't have one? Well, if you don't have one, what standards are your managers following, your HR? So it's not only a tool for employees to utilize so that they know what your policies are, but it's a way to demonstrate that you intend to comply with all relevant laws that relate to employment policies.